Hi guys, and welcome to another Watch Geek video. Today we're doing a detailed tutorial for the module 3403 in this GD-350 G-Shock. Now, just like in all my other tutorial videos, in the description you will find a table of content with time codes, so you can jump to specific parts of the video or functions of the watch. However, I would advise you to watch the whole video the first time, just so you get acquainted with all the functions that this watch offers. Now, the first thing that I'm going to show you is how to initially set up the watch, the time, the home city, the calendar, and other little details. To do so, you have to be in the home screen, which is this, where you have the hours, the minutes, the seconds, day of the week, you have the month, you have the date, and that's it. If you're not in the home screen, simply press the mode button to cycle through the modes until you go back to the home screen. And you should hear a higher pitched sound once you get into the home screen. Now, once in the home screen, you simply press and hold the adjust button until you enter the adjusting screen. So press and hold, and there, now you release. And the first thing that the watch is going to ask you is what time zone you're currently in. This is your actual home city. Now, since I'm in UTC +1, and UTC is Universal Time Code, or GMT, Greenwich Mean Time. So I'm at +1. You should actually know your time zone or find it out online, and then based on that, with these two buttons, you can move due east and you can move due west to -UTC. Once you know your exact time zone, you select it. In my case, it's +1. And it's very important to set this up correctly because all the times in the world time function are actually based and calculated on this. Okay, once you've set up your time zone, you press the mode button. Now, the second thing that the watch is going to ask you is your DST, or Daylight Savings Time setting. This is whether or not you're currently observing summertime or wintertime. If you're observing summertime, you simply toggle it with the lower button to on. And now, as you can see, even the time zone changed by 1 hour because UTC doesn't observe summertime. So now the difference between UTC and my time zone is +2. During winter, when we don't observe the summertime, you toggle it to off, and it's going to move the hours down by 1. Moving on, press the mode button. The watch is going to ask you whether you want a 12 or 24-hour display, meaning that whether you want to see it like this, or if you toggle it again with the lower right button, you can switch to 12-hour display and you're going to have the AM/PM indicator. Let's go back to 24 because that's what I prefer. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the seconds. And now, if you reset the seconds and you do it with the lower button, if you reset them between 0 and 29 like this, between 0 and 29, they're gonna go back to 0 and the minutes are gonna stay unchanged. However, if you reset them between 30 and 59, they're gonna go back to 0, but the minutes are actually gonna move by 1 up. So we're just gonna wait for the seconds to pass 30 so I can show you what I mean. Okay, like so. So now if I reset them, now, as you can see, they went to 0, but the minutes went by 1 up to 43. And that's pretty much it. Pressing the mode button, the watch is going to ask you for the hours. And now with these two buttons, you can go up and you can go down, like so. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the minutes, and again the same. You can go up, you can go down, and you can even speed scroll by pressing and holding the button, like so. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the year. It's the same. You can go up, you can go down, and you can speed scroll. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the month. Again, same procedure. You can go up, you can go down. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the date. So again, you can go up, you can go down, and you can speed scroll. The day of the week is calculated automatically, so the watch is not going to ask you that. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you whether you want the keys or the buttons to make beeping sounds when you use the watch. It's set up like this with key tone. If you want to mute them by pressing the lower button, you can toggle it between key tone and mute. Once you engage the mute function, you're going to have this mute indicator show up here, and now the watch is not going to make any sounds as you operate the buttons. Let's go back to regular key tone operation. Pressing the mode button again, the watch is going to ask you for the backlight duration. So here, if you have it set up as LT3, the backlight is going to stay on for 3 seconds after you press the light button. If you switch it to LT5, it can stay on for even 5 seconds. And this is one of the longest lasting backlights of any G-Shock. Let's go back. You can set it up also to LT1. Now the backlight is gonna stay on for 1.5 seconds. Now I usually always select the longest one, but since this is a regular battery operated watch, please note that selecting a very long backlight is gonna shorten the battery life. Okay, moving on. Pressing again, the watch is gonna ask you whether you want the additional alerts to be shown using a vibe alarm, or if you toggle it with the lower button with a flash alarm, because this watch does have a vibrating function. So whenever a countdown timer reaches 0, or an alarm sounds off, or an hourly chime sounds off, if you have it set up like this at flash, the backlight is gonna flash twice and the watch is gonna beep. However, if you select a vibration alert, the watch is not gonna beep and not gonna flash, but it's just gonna discreetly vibrate on your hand or on your wrist. And this is a very useful function, because if you're in a meeting or somewhere where you don't want to be heard but you want some kind of an alert, this is very discreet and very useful. We'll leave it at vibrate. Pressing the mode button again, the watch jumps back to the selection of your time zone. So now if you changed your mind or you messed something up when you were setting it up, pressing the mode button will just cycle you through all the settings and back. As you can see, you can cycle as many times as you want. Once you've set up everything the way you want to, you simply press the adjust button to exit the adjusting screen, like so. And now we're back in the home screen. Okay, now with the watch set up, let's see what we can do in the home screen. In the home screen, like I showed you, pressing the mode button is gonna cycle through different modes. Pressing the light button is gonna activate the backlight. However, pressing and holding the backlight is gonna activate the auto light feature. So press and hold, and you're gonna have this little LT displayed here. And now, if we put the watch level and tilt it to our face, it's gonna light up automatically. And since this is not a solar powered watch, it's gonna keep doing that even during the day. So to save the battery, the watch is automatically gonna turn off this function after 6 hours. Naturally, you can also manually turn it off by simply pressing and holding the light button for more than 3 seconds again. So press and hold until the LT disappears, like so. Pressing the adjust button is gonna show you on this screen. It's going to toggle between a calendar, and it's shortly going to show you what you have the countdown timer set up for, like so. And I'm going to show you why this is important. But before that, pressing the reset button doesn't do anything. However, if you press and hold the reset button, the watch is going to actually vibrate to show you how strong it vibrates. And I can feel it in my hands as I'm speaking, but sadly you can't hear it because it's pretty discreet. Like so. Now, like I said, pressing the adjust button is gonna display what the time is set for the countdown timer. Why? Because this watch has a direct access to the countdown timer. So to start the countdown timer, you don't have to go into the countdown timer, but in the home screen, pressing this different button. As you can see, all the buttons are plastic, but this one is made of metal. It's the start button for the countdown timer. Once you start it, the screen here is going to switch from calendar data to actually showing you the countdown timer, like so. And it's going to remain like this until the countdown timer reaches 0, or until you go into the countdown timer, stop it and reset it. Because from here, you cannot stop the countdown timer. As you can see, it keeps going even if you press the start stop button. Another thing that you can do is when the screen is showing the countdown timer in the home screen, just like you could see what the countdown timer is set up for by pressing the adjust button, now you can see the calendar data by pressing this adjust button. The watch is going to show you the day of the week, month and date for a couple of seconds and then switch back to showing the countdown timer. Okay, so that's it when it comes to the home screen. Now let's move on to the first function. The first function is the world time. This watch comes with, I believe, 30 and something time zones and 100 world cities. To toggle between the cities, you use these two buttons. So you can go due east, you can go due west. Since this does have 100 cities, you also have a shortcut back to UTC by pressing and holding these two buttons simultaneously. So you press it, and as you can see, it just jumped back to the UTC. Another thing you can do in the world time function is turned on the DST or daylight savings time for each time zone individually. So we select Paris, And to turn on the summertime or DST, you press and hold the adjust button for more than a couple of seconds, like so. And as you can see, the DST display turned up here, and Paris has moved by 1 hour. To turn off the DST for Paris or any other time zone, you repeat the process. So press and hold the adjust button, and the DST is going to disappear, and the time is going to move by 1 down. And that's pretty much it when it comes to the world time function. It's cool that they added 100 cities. What is not cool is that they don't have the direct switch between home and world city. That's really a shame. Okay, moving on. The next function is the alarm. This watch comes with 5 alarms, with one being a snooze, and each one of these alarms can be set up to be, the 4 original alarms can be set up as either daily or one-timer alarm. Now, once in the alarm function, the watch is going to display the current time right here. In fact, it's going to display the current time in all the functions except the world time function. So here you can see the current time. Over here you can see what the alarm is set for and which alarm is set for and whether or not it's turned on or off. So this is alarm 1 set for midnight and it's currently turned off. To toggle between the alarms, you simply press the lower button. So alarm 1, alarm 2. Alarm 3, alarm 4. So again, alarm 4 set for midnight, currently turned off. Alarm 5, which is a snooze alarm. And lastly, you have the SIG or the hourly chime. The hourly chime is displayed with these 2 zeros and it's currently off. So to turn any of these on, alarm or the hourly chime, where the watch is going to beep every hour on the hour, you simply press the upper button, the reset button, like so. And as you can see, the SIG has been turned on and you have this little SIG display right here. Moving on, let's turn on the alarm 1. Just press the upper button and now we've turned on the alarm. But as you're pressing this button here, you're gonna toggle between one-time alarm, daily alarm, and off. So if you want a daily alarm, you have to press this twice. So once and twice. Please note that as soon as you have any of the alarms turned on, you're going to have this ALM symbol here. The same goes for the alarm number 5, but like I said, that is a snooze alarm. So you can toggle it between off, snooze, and off. So this doesn't have a daily or one-time alarm, but it can be off or it can be turned on as a snooze alarm. When it's turned on as a snooze alarm, it means that the watch is going to repeat even once it rings all the way. It finishes the alarm alert or you stop it by pressing any of the buttons. It's going to repeat itself after 5 minutes again and again and again until you go into the alarm and turn off the snooze alarm by pressing the upper button, like so. Now, naturally, any of these alarms can be set to a specific time. So let's select the alarm number 1, turn it off, and as soon as you start turning it on, it's actually gonna turn itself on automatically. So once you start adjusting it, like so, it turned on as a one-time alarm. And now the watch is going to ask you what hours you want the alarm to ring at. And you can use the 2 buttons up and down just as you're setting up the time. So let's say we want this to ring at 6:05 a.m. So we select 6. To set up the minutes, you simply press the mode button. The watch is going to ask you for the minutes. And again, you can move up, you can move down. And let's say we set it up as a 6:05. To exit the adjusting screen, you simply press the adjust button, and this is now a one-time alarm that's going to ring tomorrow at 6:05 and it's going to stop. If, however, we want to have it as a daily alarm to wake us up for work, you would simply press this once more to go to a daily alarm. And now like this watch is going to ring every day at 6:05 until we actually go in here and turn it off like this. And that's it when it comes to the alarms. So let's move on to the next function. The next function is the stopwatch. Now again, as you can see, the current time is visible even during the stopwatch. This watch comes with a 1,000-hour stopwatch that can measure down to 1/100th of a second. And this is one of the rare watches where you can actually see the 1/100th of a second for the full 1,000 hours. Usually all the digits move away, so move this way, and then you, instead of 1/100th, after the first hour, you see seconds here. But this one, like I said, can display everything all the time. And now, you can start the stopwatch by pressing the start button. You can stop it, and you can reset it by pressing the reset button. You can also do the split times. So you start the stopwatch with the start button, To freeze the screen, you press the reset button, but the stopwatch keeps running in the background. To unfreeze the screen, you press the reset button again, and as you can see, the stopwatch kept running in the background. And you can do the first and second place. So if you have two runners, when the first one goes through the finish line, you press the reset button. When the second one goes through the finish line, you press the start button. Now, once you've written the time of the first runner, you press the reset button. The watch is going to show you the time of the second runner, and then pressing it again actually resets the stopwatch. And that's pretty much it. Okay, moving on. The last function is the countdown timer, and as you can see, the countdown timer keeps running down because we started in the home screen by pressing the start button, which is a direct access to the countdown timer. Now, once in the countdown timer, we can stop it and reset it back into the time in the memory. This is a 24-hour countdown timer settable down to the second. So if we started like this at 0, it's going to start counting down from 24. Like so. Like I said, you can stop it, you can reset it. And naturally, you can set it up to any desired time between 1 second and 24 hours. To do so, you simply press and hold the adjust button. And now the watch is going to ask you for the hours. And now we can set it up to, I don't know, 3 hours. Pressing the mode button, the watch is going to ask us for the minutes. Again, you can go up, you can go down, and you can speed scroll. So let's set 3 hours, 47 minutes. And pressing the mode button again, the watch asks us for the seconds, so now we can set up the seconds as well. Let's say 5 seconds. To exit the adjusting, or if you want to change any of these, you simply cycle with the mode button until you get to what you want to change. To exit the adjusting screen of the countdown timer, you press the adjust button again, like so. And now again, we can start it. Once it reaches 0, it's going to either beep, vibrate, or flash, depending on what we selected. And you can stop it and you can reset it. Now, since this is the time set up in memory, if we go back into the home screen and we want to see, we can remember what time we set the countdown timer for, remember that pressing the adjust button is going to show that to us instead of calendar for a couple of seconds. So press it, and it's going to tell us that the countdown timer was set for 3 hours, 47 minutes, and 5 seconds. Again, just like I said, if you press the start button from the home screen, it's gonna start the countdown timer automatically from the time set in the memory. And again, to see the calendar, like I said, you press the adjust button, the one's gonna show you the calendar, and that's pretty much it. To stop the countdown timer, you have to go into the countdown timer and stop it manually. Reset it. Pressing the mode takes us back to the home screen. And that's pretty much it when it comes to this watch and this module. I really do hope you enjoyed and found it useful. If you did, please like and subscribe, and until the next video, bye.